Welcome to the Diamond Hands podcast, where medicine meets momentum and branding becomes a leadership system. I'm Leslie Tracy Kratitchville, co-founder of Diamond Hands Media. I build aesthetic brands that lead, with a background in employee benefits and business finance, so brand becomes authority and asset value. This is mindset, money, and marketing for founders building brands that run without them. Because brand isn't a logo, it's how you lead. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Hands podcast. Today we have the most handsome of gentlemen in aesthetics.
Oh my God.
And also a boss. We have Dr. George Baxter-Holder. He is the VP of Talent at Skin Spirit. And he is also an author. We're going to kind of get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
So you guys, if you think you know Dr. George, I'm gonna say you may not.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into that. So, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
Leslie, it's always such a pleasure to talk with you. And just, the fact that you bring so much joy into this industry and into this specialty. I just look at your smile. I mean, that says everything. So thank you for everything you do. Yeah, you and I have been friends for a long time.
I
So
know. When I was a little baby pup in aesthetics, it was like almost 6 years ago now. I think I
yeah,
met you first of course, Dr. Tiffany is a big connector of us all, but
yeah, yep, totally.
I love it. So, I always love to kind of go into your journey. So, for those of you who don't know, like I said, so Dr. George, he's also the author of Drugs, Food, Sex, and God. You want to throw that book up for them so they can
Oh
see
yeah.
it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had to do an autograph copy for you, Leslie. So there it is. There's
I
your
can't
autograph.
wait. I
Now I
can't
just
wait
have
to
to
get
put
it.
it. Now I just have to put it in the mail. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Please.
drugs,
Please.
food, sex, and God is. And it's funny because the subtext is an addicted drug dealer goes from convict to doctor through the power of intention, and that
Yes.
really is. That sums it up right there. That just
I,
sums it up.
and that's really why, because that's really why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I think so many of us and so many people, especially business owners, struggle with identity and addiction in different ways. It's not only
Yeah.
addiction to drugs or
Mhm.
things, addicted to looking a certain way, addicted to getting validation from the public,
Right.
and they don't know how to kind of get to the next level. But you've done it, from going from there and then going to obviously academic transformation. And then this whole entire transformation from working for yourself to being now a corporate baddie. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And I know, like, in your book, one thing I read about you, in the beginning, you said you spoke about feeling different from a young age and not really having the words for what you're going through. And so for you, kind of looking back, can you kind of describe the earliest moment that you kind of realized you weren't fitting in or kind of really being within yourself?
Yeah, and it's funny because I always chalked it up, Leslie, to my sexuality.
Mm.
And I really thought, and maybe 80% of it was. I don't know. I haven't teased that apart. Probably need to go get some therapy or something to start tease it apart.
I
But
got a good one.
the thing about it is from a very early age, and probably we're talking like 6,
Mm.
7. I felt different, and I felt apart from. And I
Mm.
didn't feel like I fit in with any of my peers. I didn't feel like I fit in with my family. And what I've come to realize is, yes, it has a little bit to do with my sexuality, but it also has to do with a mindset that led me down a particular path in drugs, with drugs and alcohol and in addiction. And but that mindset, that's the same mindset, right? It's the same mindset that makes me successful today.
Mm.
It's that intention mindset. And you can't have, it's funny, I'm working on a TED talk right now. You can't have intention only one direction. Intention is not all about good. You know, just because I'm living a great life right now through the power of intention, I was living a crappy life through the power of the same intention. I was putting
Mm.
my energy and my effort into that from a very, very early age, feeling so separate from and trying almost like in a scraping way, just trying to like grasp onto something that felt normal and familiar, I guess is the best way to put it. And so yeah, I had just had those feelings really early on and didn't know what to do with them. And so consequently, they were poorly placed. And I would like to tell you, Leslie, that that's all healed.
Yes. Well, obviously,
I would
like
love to
I.
tell you that that is all healed, but it's not. Like I will stay up until, midnight working on a spreadsheet today. It's
Mm,
like and knowing that I have to get up for a flight at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's like, oh no, just this one more thing, just this one more thing.
mm,
Because if I do this one more thing, they will see me in a particular way that validate, it's all that stuff that you said, that validation. There's so many different aspects to it. And I think as business owners, you hit the nail on the head. We're all trying to make our mark in the world and feel vital, important, feel
yes.
relevant.
Yes.
And what I find is when I stop putting so much effort and energy into feeling relevant, and I put that effort and energy into uplifting those around me,
Mm.
the effects are so much better, and I feel better about myself.
Well, I mean, and I love that so much. And guys, I don't want to get into it too much because it's real dark what was in the
Yeah,
past. But
yeah.
we're not going to get into that all because we have a little bit of decorum. But you
They
guys
gotta
got
read the
to
book. They
you
just
got to
gotta
read
read
the
the
book.
book.
You got to read
Yeah.
the book, and I'll link it in the show
Just know that
notes.
I get red cheeked when I talk about it. So if I get embarrassed, and you guys know me, like I don't get embarrassed easy, but if I get embarrassed, it's whew,
I know.
no.
But it's so funny how you say it like it doesn't change, right? Because addiction isn't just physical, right? And
Right.
and it's like I have seen people doing
Oh,
drugs at conferences. I've seen
absolutely.
lots of things going on, right? And I'm not I'll never mention anything about who it does, but it's just like,
Right.
it's just like it's also I think it goes back to being emotional and spiritual. So like when you were at your lowest, for you, and we'll go into transformation after this, but like what was the single most destructive lie that you think you told yourself during that whole entire period? And how did you, disassociate from that
Mm,
voice to start saying, all right, it's time
gosh.
to move on
Oh
from
my
this?
oh my goodness. What's the most destructive lie?
Mhm.
Wow, you just go right for the tough questions, girl. Okay, the most destructive lie is I'm not hurting anyone.
Mm.
I remember saying that to myself. Well, I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not hurting anyone except myself. It transformed into I'm not hurting anyone except myself. Baloney. I was hurting myself, and I was hurting anybody else that knew me and anybody else that saw potential in me. And that happens to me today when I see somebody that's doing that to themselves. I'm just like,
Mhm.
I get teary eyed, and I get my heart just gets crushed, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's probably the biggest, most destructive lie that I told myself, is that I'm not hurting anyone. And then I really was keeping it all together, which
Mhm.
I really wasn't keeping it all together at all. And and then I went to prison.
Damn.
Some people don't know that about me. Although I don't know why I share
Well, so
about
it was the best thing that could have happened. That's what you
it. I
said in your
did,
book. And I want you to,
it
what was that
was
shift?
the thing about it is it's like looking back on my life, and I think this is almost a verbatim quote out of the book. Looking back on my life, it's like a key.
Mhm.
Like it's all that hills and valleys like a key. But if I didn't have all of that up and that down, the key wouldn't turn the lock that is my life, right? It wouldn't
Mm.
fit. The lock wouldn't fit. The key wouldn't fit, and the lock wouldn't turn. And
Yes.
so everything needed to happen in this divine order, if you will. I'm a profoundly spiritual person. I'm not a religious person. I don't want
You're
anybody
just like me.
to get
I'm
that any
spiritual.
mixed up. But the thing about it is like I can't judge the things in my life as bad and good when they were all necessary.
For your ascension.
Yeah. And so going to prison was probably the best thing to ever happen to me because, God, where would I be today if I hadn't? Would I still be would I still be not hurting anyone? You know? And I just think about that. And then where would I be today if I never used drugs?
True.
You know? And that scares me almost as much because when I was 8 years old, I told everybody that I wanted to be the president of the United States.
You still got time.
And for whatever anybody thinks about politics, it's like that's the last place that I need to be right now. So if I had never done drugs, I might be the president of the United States right now. You know?
Maybe.
Okay. Who knows?
I mean, it's like, so, because I know the subtitle of your book is, like we talked about, see the power of intention. We kind of touched on this before, but
Yeah.
it's like if you kind of map these things that happen to you to like identity change, what was the hardest like psychological shift that you had to make from, doing math, drugs, selling, so all those types of things you were doing, what was that switch where you're like, okay, something needs to change. I need to
Oh
put my
yeah.
attention towards
Oh
something
yeah. No,
else.
there was a phone call.
Mm.
There was a 5-minute phone call. Can't remember what I called him in the book, but his name is Scott.
Mhm.
and and he was my probation officer.
Mhm.
And he called me and he said, George, you need to come in and see me. Your urine has drugs in it. And we need to talk. And I went in to see him and he said, I hadn't, I had an expedited sentence in prison and I ended up getting out about 3 years early. And
Yeah.
he said, I could send you back to do those 3 years, or you could really get serious about your life and about recovery. And it was at that moment, like I knew that I was not going back to prison. Like that, this guy,
Wow.
this guy doesn't belong there. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And so that was kind of that was that split second, and I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know what that was going to do for me.
Mhm.
But that that weekend before that, which is where the dirty urinalysis came from, was the
Mhm.
last time I have ever put mind or mood altering substances in my body, and
That is so beautiful.
that was over 25 years ago. So
I just love that. And it's like it doesn't mean those things are gone. And so you guys who are listeners, I don't know if you guys are people who are business owners, we struggle with stuff. It happens.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
But it's about replacing it with something else, right?
yeah, yeah. And
Replacing it.
it's a struggle is struggle. Like
Yeah.
it's that's the other thing I talk about in the book about this cyclical nature of struggle,
Mhm.
and how like every struggle like is the beginning of a cycle that ends in celebration that only starts a new cycle. Like and we see that when when we succeed in business.
Mhm.
So
Tell me.
I had a discussion the other day with one of our clinic managers,
Yes.
and she goes, "Oh, we're like nailing it. We're knocking things out of the park. We're so far over plan and so far over our stretch goal." And I said, "Be careful." I said, "Be careful because
Mhm.
your goals for next year come from that."
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
it's this cyclical, it's like celebration, and then January comes around, you get your goals for the next year. You're like, oh my God, how are we ever going to XYZ, right?
Yes.
And
And
there you go.
before.
And then you're back in struggle again,
Yes.
you know? And
Yes.
it's just this, thing where our lives, we go through this. We go through this on a daily basis, on a minute by minute basis, on a yearly basis, on a lifetime basis, where we follow a natural process
Yeah.
that I believe, starts with struggle, and but then the dreams come from that, and the goals come from that, and the plans come from that, and the action comes from that, and these are all the steps of my life anyway, your life too. I know that, where you're just like you're putting things in motion intentionally.
Intentional.
This isn't happening to us or accidentally. We're really putting mindful thought into what we're doing. You and I talked about doing this podcast a long time ago. We put mindful thought to this podcast. So it's even simple things like that. So business owners, if you want to do something, plan it.
Yes.
Just don't just roll the dice. You really have to put it down on paper and make a plan and be willing to change your plan too. That's the other piece of it.
That's a huge part.
Yeah.
And even with that, about making a plan, being able to have the strength to change the plan. Can you tell me more about how it feels to fall in love with the process? Because
Mm.
you talk about those new plateaus, like your new highs or new floor, right? So
Yeah.
it's just almost like, how do you learn to fall in love with the process of becoming and changing and doing over and over and over again?
Yeah. The best way I found to be in love with the process that I'm in today is to take a really good retrospective look at where I've come from.
Mm.
To know that it's the same journey, it's the same key, you know. And so if I go, gosh, like I came from there, and now I'm here. Even in the short term, like with Skin Spirit, I started with Skin Spirit 13 years ago in 2003. And I started out as a provider. I sold my business to Skin Spirit. I had Seattle Youthful was my own little med spa, and then I sold that to Skin Spirit, and I came over, and then I built up a clientele. I moved my clientele from one clinic to another. And then 2018, Travis and I moved to Austin, where I had 0 clients, and I flew from Austin to Seattle every Monday. Every Monday, I
Are you
flew from
serious?
Austin to Seattle. I saw my clients for 3 days, and I flew home. Yeah, and people don't know
I
that. They
did not
don't.
know that. How many years were
Yeah,
you doing that?
a year and a half until COVID hit.
That's
And
crazy.
then we built the clinic in Austin, and I helped staff the clinic in Austin, and that was like my first little foyer into formal recruiting, and became the director of recruiting for Skin Spirit, and kind of was a provider and director of recruiting. I'm actually VP of talent development, and I still see patients. I still
That's
see patients
crazy.
2 days a month, and so I still got it too. I just had a $9,100 day the other day. I was like, I still got it.
Period. Still got it. Still got it. I love that so much. This is why I love to have these conversations, because no one knows the struggles that people
Yeah.
go through, especially when you're because when you've gone through crap like you have,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, that's just another day. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? 15-hour workday? Got it. We're good. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even a thing.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
people, people getting into this industry, they see people that are in the industry having a great time and doing their thing and posting all their great before and afters, not their crappy ones, but their great before and afters. They're posting, the conferences they're going to in Paris and Dubai, and the planes that they're getting on, and the this and the that. And what they're not posting is the sleepless nights, the 3 o'clock blink, blink, blink at the ceiling, where you're like, how am I ever going to do it? The bruise that you're not quite sure was a bruise. You're like, was that a bruise? Oh, I
It was
hope
an
that person is
occlusion.
okay. I'm going to call them at 8 o'clock in the morning just to make sure that they're okay. We don't post that.
No.
But that's the reality of this industry, this specialty, is that this is medicine, and we're dealing with people's lives and livelihoods. And and it's hard. It's not frivolous. It's not as frivolous as it looks like on TikTok.
No, and it's not. And even going back into that, I know we're kind of shifting gears a little bit here. It's like even with that alert article that came out pretty
Yeah,
recently,
yeah,
and then even just a couple days ago, we saw the regulations come out from New York and how they shut down 30 practices. And so it's like when the mainstream media starts talking about safety,
right,
the government takes notice. And
right,
we kind of talked about this a little bit when
yeah.
we were on panel together at Aesthetic Next, but they're starting to take notice now,
Hmm.
and
Good.
it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, and to that I say great. I
Same.
like the safe companies will thrive,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the herbalist companies that are just doing stuff to make a buck and cutting corners will not.
Hmm.
And
Well,
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too. Like, I need safety when I get this face done. Okay. And speaking of that, you can't cut corners. Like, you have a doctor of nursing, right? Like,
Mhm.
you did not cut corners when it came to
Mhm.
your education.
Yeah.
And now you, like, lead one of the most like trusted wellness clinics like in industry, like all of them, right? How many locations does Skin Spirit
Six-
have now?
61. We just opened number 61.
Oh, I saw that one in Texas, right?
Well,
Right.
Texas opened a little while ago. We just opened Princeton, New Jersey,
Princeton, New Jersey. Oh, was it? Okay. I know I saw one open up on LinkedIn.
and Honolulu. And yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Honolulu. That
yeah.
is really nice. And, but like when you were kind of going through that education to bring you to where, like, what belief system did you have to kill to say, okay, now I'm going to go into nursing and I'm going to go all the way, not cut corners, and go
Yeah.
all the way to DNP? Like, what was that?
Yeah, it's funny, and I have to look at that retrospectively because it really just happened sort of almost accidentally for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was in recovery, going to recovery meetings,
Hmm.
and two friends of mine at this meeting were doing their prerequisites for nursing school at this community
Hmm.
college, and I had just gotten laid off of this job with this company that made Linux servers, and I was making Linux servers. I was a Linux programmer. I have
I
no
love
idea what I
that.
just said. I have no idea what I just told you. Okay, so yes, this is what I was doing. And then I was the marketing specialist for this company. Like, I was marketing Linux servers. I still don't know what a Linux server is, but I don't care. Like, okay,
That's
this is why I got
crazy.
laid off that job. This is why the company's not in business anymore, too. 'Cause
Because the people don't even
they,
know what they're
they
doing.
make bad decisions.
That's crazy.
Well,
Oh no.
so Ben and Stephanie were going to do their prerequisites for nursing school. Well, I already had a bachelor's degree, and
Oh,
so I went to this community college. I said, "Hey, like my friends are like doing this," and they're like, "Oh yeah, you already have this, 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 this." I had to take one class, and then I got into nursing school.
that's
I was like, "Okay,"
crazy.
and I truly believe, Leslie, that there was this divine push for
Mhm.
me. Like nursing is a perfect place for me to be. It's a perfect
Yeah.
job for me. It's caring, it's sensitive, it's empathetic, it's also serious.
Very
There's all
serious.
these aspects of George that are in nursing. And so I became a nurse and I went right into the emergency room. It's fast paced. It spoke to my ADD. It's
Yes.
just like, yes, let's go. And pretty soon, like I'm driven. I've always been a driven person. So I started to
Mhm.
see these people coming through, cardiology nurse practitioners that were coming through, and I noticed them, I watched them, I observed them, and I thought, God, that's what I need to do is I need to be a nurse practitioner. And I
Yeah.
ended up actually working for that cardiology company
Wow.
after I got my nurse practitioner, and I hated it. I
Wow.
absolutely hated it, and thank God, truly, thank God
Mhm.
I hated it,
Mhm.
because what happened is then I went into bariatrics. I said,
Mm.
I gotta get out of cardiology, and I got in. The only job that was available to me at this hospital system was the weight loss clinic, and
Wow.
my patients were losing weight in their face, and Lap Band at the time was owned by Allergan.
Mm.
And so the lap band rep, who's still with Allergan, Bree, brought the Allergan rep in to meet me, and I started doing facial rejuvenation after extreme weight loss with Juvederm Ultra and Ultra Plus without lidocaine.
Without lidocaine,
Without,
Jesus.
oh my, we didn't have lidocaine back in the day.
So people were just out here really suffering for the plot.
Oh, it was horrible. Oh,
Wow.
so horrible.
That's
But
insane.
and now here we are, full circle, Leslie,
Wow.
because everybody's losing weight again.
Again,
And guess where I thrive.
You're like you come with your syringe. Daddy's home.
Daddy's home.
Daddy's home. I love that. That is so amazing. It's just like I was talking to another friend. When we were recording a podcast, Jared or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it was
yeah,
like following those butterflies, right? It's
totally.
like first it was like a death moth for you, but then it turned into a butterfly. But
totally.
It's like following those butterflies, and like when you do those things, you just kind of flip from one thing to another. Then you're like, wow. Then you start seeing, like you said, the key, the thread, that kind of puts everything together, and you're like, this is me. And so for anyone that like kind of feels chaotic in their business, it's like, because I think even some people, when they're in aesthetics, they think that reinvention is impossible, right? And they think, because the thing is, if you're injecting now, guess what? You might not be injecting in 10 years. Like I remember I talked to Dr. Terry. She's from MERS. She's their head of like, she's the head of, sorry guys, let's not call me on that. But anyways,
medical operations, right?
Yes, medical affairs. Yeah, she's head of medical affairs, but it's like there are so many different pathways that you can use these degrees for in aesthetics. If you don't like injecting anymore, close up your damn shop and leave, or sell it to Skin Spirit so it goes into an ecosystem so someone else can take over your spot if you don't want to do it anymore after some time. Right. There's so many possibilities.
So much to do. But even if you're not an injector, I mean, you mentioned Jared. Jared has reinvented himself now a couple times. He's amazing. And that man has so much to teach because of who he's learned from.
Yes.
Like, he has picked up information all the way along, and now he's a brilliant marketer. He's a brilliant businessman in aesthetics. I have a great deal of respect for that man. So.
Exactly. And so like what is the truth that you think people need to accept if they want to change? I'm asking you, like, what is that truth they have to accept?
First of all, you have to get away from the unworthiness. Where you think that you're not worth it, or you don't have that value. We all need to understand our value that we bring, our true value, our real value, not some arbitrary, not some, Instagram created value, but what are we bringing to the table? And like our level of experience, our level of, commitment, our level of, education, like our level of research, all of that stuff. What all are you dumping on the table? And then, what's that worth? And not underselling ourselves, because that's, the majority of injectors today are nurses or nurse practitioners. I mean, there's a lot of PAs that I love. There's some physicians that are injectors as well. But nurses in general undersell themselves. They undervalue themselves. My whole goal is to really make sure that people understand their worth, and their worth to themselves, their worth to their community, their worth to their patient, their worth to their employer, because there's a lot of employers out there that'll take advantage of someone that doesn't think that they're worth anything. I pride myself on the fact that at Skin Spirit, we don't take advantage of that. We do provide a really great way of life for our providers, and especially those providers that are bringing it. Like I say that to people all the time. You bring it, we'll bring it.
Yeah.
You bring it, we'll bring it.
And that's so true. And so like, and with that, Skin Spirit now, you said that you love being in service to people. And this is kind of like your new high you get, in a way, like serving others, right? It's like, as a human, it's like, what are we here for? We're here to serve others, and to serve others to the best of our ability. Right. And so now in like view of like Skin Spirit and all the leaders that you're creating and that you're supporting, so like, what does like purpose mean to you now? And like, how do you kind of, stay aligned with it, especially when in this industry, image is rewarded more than integrity in many arenas, unfortunately. Like,
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to stay aligned with, you have to be in your integrity always. And you have to stay aligned with, what is really going to benefit the specialty of medical aesthetics. And I have these difficult conversations sometimes, Leslie, about like, and sometimes I'm not very popular with this. So, hopefully your listeners, I'll still be popular with them. I don't know, but medical aesthetics is its own specialty.
yeah.
We are not plastic surgery, and we are not dermatology. And dermatologists have a singular focus on dermatology and a side focus on medical aesthetics. And plastic surgeons have a singular focus on plastic surgery and a side focus on medical aesthetics. And medical aesthetics has a singular focus on medical aesthetics, and we don't have a side focus. Well, except now people are starting to do weight loss, and they're starting to get into hormones and peptides. But I want everyone in medical aesthetics to remember that we have a singular focus of medical aesthetics that is very, very valuable. And the more that we commit to that singular focus of our medical specialty, the stronger our specialty will become. And we won't be anybody's side piece.
Well, unless you want to be, of course. I'm just kidding. Got it.
That's another story.
I know. Guys, I'm so sorry.
I've always wanted to be a side piece. I really have always wanted to be a side piece. Like,
I'm gonna call your husband.
Oh, there we go. My husband and I are equals. It's so funny. Neither one of us were a side piece. I've always wanted to be a side piece.
I'm crying, guys. I'm so sorry. We're so unhinged, but I swear we're professionals, consummate professionals. So I love that's what you kind of give back now, right? You give back your energy to the industry and also just seeking to professionalize the medical aesthetics specialty, because that's so important that people do keep a singular focus. Because if I'm going to a doctor and they offer, this is me personally, guys, don't come for me, but if I see you all of a sudden offering peptides and this and this and this and that and that and that, and also my injectables, okay, is it kind of nice on surface level that you do that? But it's like, how much study did you actually have in all these other things to offer it? And I think it actually dilutes. It dilutes.
Yeah. And if safety is the most important thing that we do, then diluting what we do is, that's unsafe. Just, I want to go to someone like Steve Soar. Dr. Soar, that's going to do my peptides. Because he does fantastic peptides. He does fantastic injectables. He does both things very, very well, and he's very well studied. And I know, because of his ND, I know that he's going to give me the best of both worlds.
Yes.
But I've done some internet studying on peptides. Do you want me to prescribe your peptides, or you do some BC157 or the GU something or other? But like, I don't know.
But that's what's happening.
Man, come to me for your cheek filler, and you got it going on, girl.
But that's what's happening now. It's like, Dr. Soar has been doing full workups, blood work on his patients for years. That was never non-negotiable with him.
Right.
Ever. Right. It's like, and so it's like, I would trust him, but it's like, someone saying, oh, I just started doing this last month. I'm like, okay, that sounds nice. So it's interesting. So going into like your leadership style, like, when you lead in Skin Spirit and you lead and you're looking for new people, like, what is the single most important quality that you now look for when you're seeking to develop and recruit talent into your ecosystem? Because it's like, at the end of the day, like, you are leading the spirit of Skin Spirit, right? Yeah. Because the people are directly going to affect the reputation of this beautiful organization going forward. So what is that like?
So I frequently, people ask me this question in interviews all the time. Mm-hmm. What are you looking for in an injector? And my two answers to that are hungry and humble. And that's really where it boils down to for me. It's like, I want you to want to thrive. I want you to want to do anything it takes to thrive. And I want you to do anything it takes to learn. And if you're hungry and you're humble, you're going to be wildly successful. not just at this, but in anything, because you'll always be curious and you'll always be asking questions and, where did you grow up and what did you do and who's your, how many pets do you have? And I love it when I approach somebody and they start asking me questions about myself. I'm like, oh my God, you're so curious. Like this is like that curiosity and just the want to learn and the humility that comes from that. But it's not all about, let me tell you about my thing. I want to know about your thing.
Yeah. I love
And
that, hungry and humble.
yeah, hungry and humble.
And so with that, it's like, so would you say you lead through vulnerability, authority, energy, or is it because like a combination?
Yeah, I don't know what to call it. I haven't really thought about it. Vulnerability is there for me. I love vulnerability. I love Brene Brown. She's like she lives 2.5 hours away. I could spend some time with her, but I love being able to be vulnerable. Authority for me comes from experience and it comes from within. It just doesn't come from some exogenous source. So I don't really lead from a place of authority, although people would say that I have authority over XYZ, but that's only because I've been doing it a while and I'm willing to like roll up my sleeves and get in there and do it with you. So that leading by vulnerability, but also by example, where I'm not gonna ask somebody to do something that I haven't done or I'm not willing to. I'm really committed to what we're doing here, and not just in my company, but what we're doing here in the specialty. I'm committed to cadaver study. I'm committed to anatomy study, safety. I'm committed to the rheology of new products that are coming on. I'm really making sure that the products that are coming to market have a safety profile that really speaks to me and my patients. That we're not just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's
That's insanity. Yes.
insanity.
Yes. I've had some of that in my life, but
Yeah.
and so with that, as you lead now, like how do you continue to hold or balance holding, I would say, like high standards with also being compassionate? It's based on your history, like, because it's like,
Oh,
because you've gone through so much, but how do you kind of
yeah.
hold it and be like, all right, I have high standards, but I'm going to be compassionate to you. Like, how do you hold that tension?
I do have high standards. I have really high standards for myself. So I try not to hold anyone to the standards that I have for myself because I don't think that that's fair. But if I'm working with you, Leslie, I'm going to tell you that I have high standards for you. I'm going to tell you what I expect from you. And then I'm also going to have that same compassion to help you get there, to understand that, look, someone brought me along. Someone helped to train me. Someone helped to give me that information. They didn't berate me. They didn't belittle me. They didn't tell me that I was an idiot, because I wasn't understanding something. They said it in a different way. They used a different analogy. When you're in a training with me, you'll hear me say the same thing 4 different ways.
Yes.
And it's because or show you in 2 different ways and tell you in 2 different ways, because I understand that there's different styles of learning, and in order for us to all get better, a good trainer needs to like come at it from all different angles too.
Yes.
And it doesn't the people that I know that come at it from an authoritative place or come at it from a place of self, that's where I don't think that that's effective. Like when I'm coming in, and I'm just talking about training here, but it's really about life in general. When I come at my life that it's about you instead of being about me. When I come at my trainings and it's about the trainee, not the trainer, then there's more benefit to the trainee. And the people that train with me, they love training with me because I make them feel good. I make them feel good about what they're doing. Even if they don't know what they're doing, they know more at the end of the training than they did at the beginning of the training, right?
I love that.
Yeah. And would I let them inject my face if they were brand new at the end of the training? No.
Probably not. No.
It's
No.
okay.
Not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I had very few people have ever injected my face.
Oh my goodness. That's so great though. I mean, but that's so important because we've both been out there and and you could see the difference between a leader who is out there leading for the sake of themselves and a leader who is
Yeah.
leading for the sake of others. And I think when you lead for the sake of others, it is a thankless labor of, I don't even want to call it love. I don't like that word. Abundance.
Yeah.
It's a labor of abundance that you're
Yeah.
doing, and you're pouring your soul out to people who may never understand why you're doing what you're
Yeah.
doing, you know? But
And sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel fulfilling. Like sometimes I want mine too.
girl.
But
I call you girl.
don't worry. You and I know each other well enough. Don't worry about that. But the thing about it is, it's like sometimes it's like, oh, I don't feel valued. I said that the other day. I don't feel valued. It felt gross to say that. It's like, because here's the truth of that statement from my life. If I don't feel valued, that means I'm not valuing myself.
Ooh. So it's almost like a broken record that's like resurfacing from somewhere. And you're
Yeah.
like, wait, hold on, wait a minute.
Whoa,
What's
whoa,
actually
whoa,
going
whoa.
here?
Yeah. Because like that's the truth. That's the bottom line is if I don't feel valued, I am not valuable.
Yeah.
And
Ugh.
and you gotta stop that. Stop that in its tracks.
You gotta pause, you gotta reset. And it's like, it's like people go through things, they go through abuse, they go through trauma, they go through all sorts
Yeah.
of things. So it's like when those things have happened, and it's like and those terrible mixtapes start playing again in your head,
Yeah.
on a practical way in your leadership, how would you counsel someone to say, okay, how do you ground yourself when those
Yeah.
mixtapes are starting to play again?
Oh. I was just having this conversation this morning with a friend of mine, and he was, he's like, "Oh God, I feel like such an idiot, and I'm not worth, I'm not." He had all that garbage going on.
Mixtapes are
Right?
coming on.
The
Yeah.
mixtapes are coming up for him, and I said to him, I said, "Hey, do you value Megan, his wife? Do you value her opinion?" Yeah, she is amazing. She is so smart, best person on the planet, blah, 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 blah. And I said, then she would only make good decisions, right? Because she married you, right? So it's disrespectful of you to think that you're a piece of crap if Megan chose you and you respect Megan. Like,
Wow.
I mean, I'm
Wow,
peeled
that's
off,
deep.
and I don't even know where that came from. And I was like, oh my God. Because here's the thing, I have so much respect for Travis, my husband.
Yes.
Like, he is probably one of the finest people on the planet.
And he's
By far.
beautiful.
And he's beautiful. And he chose me.
Yes.
So when I feel unworthy, when I feel unvalued, when I feel a particular way, when my mixtapes are coming up, just because it's coming up, just because that's, that it doesn't make it fact.
Oof.
It yeah, it doesn't make it fact. And then when I look and I go, wait a minute, he like makes these great decisions, he's a loving person, and he chose me. Like, okay, that says something about me that I can then look at objectively. Still have the mixtapes playing. I still like, whatever.
That's life though. How about for people who are single or divorced and they don't have those people choosing them? How
But
do
they
you
do.
then
But they
go
do. But
inside?
but they do have those people. Even like let's get this back to business, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I've got clients that come in that are CEOs and of big companies, like big companies, right? And they chose me, right? They chose Skin Spirit. They chose me. They come back. They don't just choose me once. They come back every 3 months. They keep coming back, right? They tell me, oh my gosh, I sent this person to see you and that person to see you. So they trust me enough to, and I have to look at that and I can't, oh God, I'm the worst injector in the world. Well, that person wouldn't go to the worst injector in the world.
True.
So, and I know that about them. They're very picky. So,
Yes.
and so we do have those people, whether we're single or not. You know, we have that friend that's like the smartest person on the planet. You know, or just has the greatest taste, like that friend that you hang out with. You know, you've got friends like that have
Oh, of course I do. I know.
phenomenal taste. Well, if they have phenomenal taste, they have phenomenal taste in everything.
True. That's very true. And I think that's so grounding for, especially, you know, those of you who are listening, maybe new business owners, or you're kind of doubting yourself, or you have mixtapes running from other things that have happened in your life. And
Right.
it's just like, you know, each and every human being, we all have such inherent value, right?
Yeah.
Such inherent value that has nothing to do with what we accomplish, has nothing to do with anything. It's just when we show up and we burst into this world, we have value. And I think that's something that we can never forget.
Never forget.
And the last thing I want to ask you too is like, when you think about like your legacy and you think about what you want to what you want to kind of like leave behind, what do you want people watching your life to take away from how you've lived your life, how you've overcome, how you've ascended? What do you want them to take away and say, this was great and I can do this too?
So there's lots of specific answers to that question. You know, it's like I want them to have this technique or see this product or come to this clinic, or you know what my legacy is, Leslie?
What?
Let me see if I can say this without crying, because my when somebody says my name after I'm gone, I wanted to bring a smile on people's face. Simple as that.
And I love that. And whenever I hear your name, I smile. So, you know, you got that from me. Not you crying. I'm sitting here crying too. What?
I know. Well, the thing, you know, it's like everybody talks about their legacy and they're this, and I'm gonna build a building here, and who cares? I just want people. I want people to. I want joy. I want people to just have joy.
And that's beautiful. Guys, and I call that ROE, return on energy. When someone says your name, they should get a feeling, and it should be a powerful and beautiful association.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing that anything could be in life. Not that you're, like you said, name on a building, not a product named after you. It's that feeling. Wow. Oh my God. I guys, I'm done. That's all we got for you today.
Thank you so much. I adore you. I adore talking with you, and thank you for bringing this all to the head, to the forefront.
Thank you for this beautiful conversation. And guys, everything about Skin Spirit will be in the show notes. And also I'm going to link his book, which is very controversial. But if you do want to know about the man behind all of this excellent leadership, do pick up that book. And that's all I'll say.
The other thing is, Leslie, I love my DM. So if anybody wants to just DM me at gorgeous_by_George. Like I answer all my DMs, and I love reaching out, answering any dumb question you might have. It's not dumb to me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And guys, until next time, thanks for listening.
Thanks, Lovey. All right.
Want more clarity like this? Join the Branded Practice newsletter community. I write about strategy, systems, and brand leadership straight to your inbox. Go to diamondhandsmedia.com to sign up. And if this episode hit, share it with someone still building without a brand. This is the Diamond Hands Podcast. Thanks for listening. Now go lead.